In the previous presentation of today, before we went into the break and members came in, we had discussed that in the background of the chapter 1 of a proposal, a researcher is required to bring out a picture on how the situation about the DV has been in the past, whether it has been good or poor, high or low, depending on the nature of the DV you are talking about. For example, I talked about the DV as success of small businesses in Kampala. If that is your DV, then that means your historical background, that is paragraph number 1, or it may be paragraph 1, 2, 3 of your background, should talk about how success of small businesses has been in the past. You bring out a picture that somebody can see and understand how the situation about small business performance in Kampala or small business success, because of course performance and success seem to be the same, how the situation has been. Have there been many cases of success or many cases of failure? In what dimensions of success have we seen in the past, and so on and so on. You get the records, you get these facts from previous reports, which can be government reports, institutional reports, previous research reports, journal articles, and so on. That is where you can go and get the facts. We emphasized the fact that before you begin writing this section of the background, you have to first read from these reports I have mentioned to get some information and facts, because you are trying to bring out a picture on how the situation has been, and you are proving that picture with the facts from existing literature. When you successfully do that at a global, continental, and national levels, you go to the next paragraph or the next part of the background. And in this part of the background, which I'm going to talk about mainly here, you are going to tell us the theories which explain the nature of the relationship between your IV and DV. In KIU, it is called the theoretical perspective, which is the second subsection of the background. As you hear, you see this number 2 here. And we have indicated that in this section, in this part of the background, you are required to identify a theory that explains the nature of the relationship between your IV and DV if you have two variables. If you have one variable, a theory that explains the nature of your study problem, that is the DV. How does it happen? And we said that in this theoretical part of your background, these are the key issues you should look for when you go to literature, to look for theories which explain, for example, if I go by my problem, study problem, success of small businesses, I will be looking for theories which explain success of small businesses, or theories which explain performance of small businesses. I look for them. Where do I look for them from? I go to textbooks, especially on management of small businesses. I can also go to Mr. Google and search to see the online writers or those writings that have been uploaded and recorded online. So what am I looking for when I'm reading? I'm looking for, one, what theory? Of course, you will get so many theories, but you will need to pick up one or two, even though I'm recommending as of now, one theory that explains your study problem or the nature of the relationship between your IV and DV. We said each theory has a name, so note the name of the theory. There are so many theories. I can give an example. We have the so-called MacGregor's theory X and Y. Theory X and Y is the name. Then two, what else are you looking for? What else you are looking for? You should look for whose theory or who developed it. The first question was what theory? The next thing is who developed it. And we said that when you are reading, each theory has a developer, a person or a scholar who conducted the first research that led to development of that theory. So look for that person by name. For example, I said the theory X and Y was developed by MacGregor, MC Gregor. Three, the next thing you are looking for when you are reading that theoretical literature is when was that theory developed? And we said this is the year when that theory was first published by the first developer or researcher. So the researcher who conducted for the members, the network had disturbed us a bit, but let us continue.
I mean the onions.
I will request those who are not mute to mute themselves. Then we can continue. I was saying that in your theoretical literature, one of the things, the third thing or point you are looking for is when was that theory developed? Then you mentioned the year. Usually, the books which write about those theories talk about the year, or you can search it. Then the fourth thing which you are going to write is, what does it say? What does that theory say? In brief, because this is background, whatever we say it in brief, because it will be expanded later in other chapters. For example, chapter 2. What does the theory say? Here, what do you need to look for? We said each theory has a summary statement which can be in words or in a statement form. It can be mathematically expressed or diagrammatically indicated, or both diagram and text, or mathematical and text. So this statement is usually a compressed description of the major suggestions or propositions of the theory. What does the theory say mainly? For example, when you talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you will find majorly that it is compressed in a diagram, but also in a statement, which says that human satisfaction moves from levels of basic to higher levels of satisfaction. So, meaning that a person who has not satisfied the basic needs cannot be satisfied by higher level needs. For example, a person who doesn't have food, you cannot give him a car. Food should come first. A person who doesn't have a house cannot think of a car, cannot think of a party. So in brief, that is what is the major statement of Maslow's. So when you come across a theory which you want to use in explaining your study problem, find out the major statement of that theory and you put it here. You can expound it a bit. That is point number 4. And finally, the last point which you should articulate in this paragraph under the background is how is that theory related to your study. Members, I requested that you register your attendance by typing in the chat your name so that I can put on record who attended and who did not. The last point here is how is that theory related to your study? Here, before you tell us how the theory is related, you must have studied the theory or the theoretical literature or the major idea of the theory. What does the theory say critically? And you understand it very well. In understanding a theory, it is important to look for the key assumptions of that theory. Those key assumptions go with the key predictions of the theory. For example, Maslow's predicted or assumed that if a person's basic needs are satisfied, he will stop thinking about them. And now he will think of higher needs. For example, if a person is assured of food and a house, he can start thinking of a car now. So if he's an employer and you want to motivate that employee, giving him food is no longer a big issue that will move him to work better. What can move him to work better and to be more satisfied is when you give him something higher than basic. For example, giving him or her a car. So when you read those assumptions of the theory and predictions, you can see how you logically connect the theory to your problem. That is what we call the theoretical perspective. We have given you a sample here. The sample may not be perfect, but try to look for the answers we have talked about, 4 or 5 answers. What theory? Identify the name of the theory. Identify the person who developed it. Identify the year when the theory was developed. Identify the key statement of the theory. What does the theory say? Then identify the link between the key idea of the theory and the study variable, or the nature of the relationship between the studies IV and DV. When you do that, you would have understood me. But before you declare yourself that you have understood, you write a paragraph of the theoretical perspective for your background. It doesn't take you a week. You only need to go to the library one day and you say, today I'm going to read, probably in the morning, and then maybe in the afternoon, I begin writing my theoretical perspective. And after writing, you can give a friend to read through, or you can give your lecturer, or you can give your supervisor, the person you think can help you to do that. If you can do that, then you will have understood me. I will pause and declare a break. Then I come back in a few minutes and we continue.